So today we're going to be looking at what if Pakistan, China, and India all went to war with each other. So these countries are all very powerful. So it will be very interesting to see. And I think we can all guess where this conflict is going to start. So over here in this region of Asia is where Kashmir is and where a lot of the problems are, where these all three of these countries have claims over it. And so what's going to happen is China is just going to finally decide that this is their land and they're going to go ahead and move troops into it, which India is going to see as as China attacking India. So just like that, we have these two countries at war with each other. So since the Chinese already had their troops in Kashmir, they're going to slowly be able to pour in into India and claim a little bit of their land. But as the Indian troops down here are all gearing up to go into battle, the Chinese are also going to come over here and try to separate this part of India from the rest of India. So eventually they are going to make it down and split these into two. And so India now has to reclaim this part and all the land up here. So this is made very difficult because now the Chinese are going to fortify their front line over here, and they're going to start to even out and make a straight line, so it'll be easier to keep this land over here. But by now, the Indians have gotten all their troops together. They're all organized, and easily they're going to be able to push back the Chinese. And why is this? It's because China didn't actually push with too much troops because they too are still getting ready, as all their troops are over here trying to get over to this area. But now that the Indians have their act together, they're easily pushing them back, and it's not looking too good for the Chinese so far. They might even start pushing into the Xinjiang region. So they're gonna activate their superpower and call in Pakistan, saying, "Hey, if you help me with this, then we can split India. You can get a ton of land and finally beat them." And so they might not join that easily, but for the sake of the video, Pakistan is in, and so now they are all alone, India, and so Pakistani troops start to pour in into India, and it's going to be a lot because these two countries, Pakistan and China, are very powerful. China, I believe, is number two, and Pakistan is in the top 10. And India, though it is very powerful, it is all alone. And as we see the Pakistani troops and Indian troops, they're going to pour in through the side. They're going to try to make it down here to cut off India from the ocean over here. And so they're slowly making their way. And so the Indians' plan, so they know that they can't take them, is to just simply fortify their front lines, and this is where we see the advancement stop. And so next, we see another one of China's allies wanting to get involved. We got the country of North Korea saying that, hey, China is invading their enemy, so why shouldn't I also invade my enemy? So just like that, they start to invade South Korea, and so North Korean troops slowly start to pour in to the unprepared South Korea, but are easily stopped. And then they get Chinese support. They're making their way and they're closing in on Seoul. So now we have the Japanese wanting to get involved because, hey, everybody in Europe's doing it, so why shouldn't I? So they're going to go ahead and help out their good pal South Korea with this war, and they send their troops over to help push back the Chinese and the North Koreans all the way back to their border. And so things are looking back normal over there. And then we come and take a look over here, and we see the two front lines in the north of India are starting to connect, and they're coming down on India. And so it's not looking too good for the Indians. It's looking like they might have to surrender to them. But just when all hope is looking lost, the Indians are finally able to break through this gap over here and can take out the border that's keeping them from the other part of India. And this is a big morale booster and is helping them to push back the Pakistanis a little bit, just a little bit for now. And so India is starting to think about maybe calling a peace treaty because things are not looking too good for them. But for the friends in East Asia, Japan and South Korea, things are looking pretty good. They're cruising up past the border and are almost to Pyongyang. And but now China's going to send more aid, resulting in there being less Chinese troops in India. So they're going to go ahead and push them back. And so now it's looking a little more hopeful, but still pretty grim. There's still a lot of land to recover, and there's still quite a bit of Chinese here. So by now, all countries have lost a little bit. India has this whole area taken out of them. North Korea is being pummeled by these two countries, and China's trying to save them, but in doing so, they're losing their land over here. And so now I think everybody is just going to call for a peace treaty. All right, so taking a look at this peace treaty, we can see that there are some losers and there are some winners. There are losers and winners on both sides. So India will start here. They lost quite a bit of land. They got a flat top now, and China and Pakistan both got a big chunk out of them. I might have cut off a bit of Pakistan over here, and I apologize for that. But both countries are looking pretty good. Over here, we have Korea, South Korea, not taking all of North Korea, but a lot of it, resulting in a little bit of this. So, what's going to happen is we're just going to see the North Koreans just to go ahead and reunite, not reunite. We're going to see the North Koreans go ahead and join the Chinese. But of course, China has something to do with this because they wouldn't give up power that willingly. And so it's looking good. We have peace in Asia. Finally, perhaps we can move on. But people aren't really happy about this. Pakistan feels like China cheated them out of a lot of land over here. China feels like they did everything right. Everything got a fair share. India's mad that they got a ton taken out. North Korea wants to be its own country again and regain all its land, but South Korea wants to be the ones to control all of Korea. So back to war we go. We have South Korea building up its forces and storming across the border, looking to regain its land, or its land that it thinks should be theirs, getting all of Korea. As for India, we have them not going after both China and Pakistan, but instead going after their mortal enemy, Pakistan. They're going to try and cut them off from the Chinese so they can't get any aid. And so now Pakistan is worried about defending itself from India, and China is defending itself from South Korea. So normally in real life we probably wouldn't see this much aggressive behavior from India and South Korea, but of course this is all just for fun. But let's keep going. We have the Indian troops going into Pakistan and trying to take as much land as they can get to hopefully get a quick surrender as they try to move to Islamabad, but are slowly stopped by the Pakistanis. As for Korea, it's not looking too good for them because all of Chinese cities are over here and their population is over there. So that means they could easily gather their troops and they can send them right back to the border. Sometimes in life you just got to be grateful for what you have. And South Korea wasn't, and so now they're starting to pay for it. And so now slowly South Koreans are being pushed back and they call for help from Japan. But Japan says, nah, you're on your own. We aren't going to be caught up in any of that again. And so slowly South Koreans are being pushed back into their own territory and their cities are being captured one by one. Over here in the West, we see Pakistan being able to slowly push back the Indians, but not by much. But we'll see Karachi being taken by the Indians down here, which is going to be a huge hit as they move into Hyderabad and capturing their whole coastline. So Pakistan is going to help ask for help from China, but China, seeing how things are going very well, are going to go ahead and send some help. And so they go back, and instead of trying to help Pakistan regain their land, they're going to go for all out glory and try to capture some Indian land as they slowly move down and create an even front line into India. And they try to cut off India from its other land over here, but the Indians are prepared and are successfully able to repel them. And so slowly, India is losing once again. So they pull out all of their troops, or not all of them, but a lot of them, and Pakistan is able to push them back out. And we see the front lines here slowly turning into Pakistan's favor as a little bit of Pakistani troops are able to cross the border, and a lot of Indian troops are being withdrawn to help over here. And once again, we see the fighting happening in the north of India, and we see a stalemate happening. As for happening in Korea, since China was sending most of their troops, they decided to just make a front line and hopefully just wait out for the end of the war. And eventually, this here is also stalemate. So now there's a stalemate everywhere, and there are some winners. China is looking particularly good, and India was able to hold on to a little bit of Pakistani land. And so everybody says, for real this time, we're going to stop. And this time, the UN gets involved, and everybody is going to stop for real this time. All right, so taking a look at this final peace treaty, once again, the major changes are in India. We see the Chinese getting a little bit more land from India, but India was able to get a little bit of land from Pakistan, but still they aren't back to what they once were. As for South Korea, their border has been pushed down, and North Korea still remains a part of China. And so that's where it's all going to stand. Everybody has to agree to these borders because the UN has decided that this is enough fighting and bloodshed, because this would be a very, very bloody conflict, and we just hope that it'll never happen. So, thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate you for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. This was very fun to make. I don't know what mapping content I'll make next, but I will make more because I really love making these types of videos. So, have a fantastic rest of your day.